Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's Experience Grad York session, Education, Graduate Admissions at York. Today we have Eileen Watson, our Graduate Recruitment and Liaison Officer, presenting this session. Take it away, Eileen.
Thanks so much. All right, so welcome everyone to tonight's admission session. We are focusing on the Faculty of Education. The presentation will take about 25 minutes, and we'll have time for question and answers at the end. Please feel free to put any questions you have in the Q&A throughout the presentation, and we're happy to answer them. So for what we'll be covering today, we'll do a brief introduction to York University. We'll talk about why someone might want to pursue graduate studies. We'll do the basics and eligibility for each degree level. Then we'll go over the Faculty of Education graduate programs, which, spoiler alert, there is only one in the Faculty of Education, the Master of Education and PhD in Education. Then tuition, how much it costs to pursue a grad degree, and then funding and scholarships or financial supports for studying at the graduate level. And then lastly, how to apply, where to apply, documents you need to submit, deadlines you need to adhere to, all that good stuff. So if you've attended any of the other faculty presentations, I apologize because the first half is the same, just because it encapsulates all of grad studies at York, but we will get to the detailed education information in just a couple of minutes. So, York University is the third largest university in Canada. We're located in the heart of the Greater Toronto Area, just a subway ride away from downtown Toronto. Toronto, of course, is the largest and most diverse city in Canada. So, almost 6 million people live in the GTA, and actually half of the population was born outside of Canada. So, definitely a city of immigrants. English and French are the official languages, but across the region, over 200 languages are spoken every day. York has several campuses within the Greater Toronto Area. So first up is our main campus, the Keele campus, um, which is located in Northern Toronto. Most graduate programs are here, including Faculty of Education program. And there's about 50,000 students overall. About 10% or 5,000 of those are graduate students. Then we have Glendon campus, which is located in Midtown Toronto. And it's our bilingual campus, English and French. And it's a much smaller campus than Keele. There's about 2,000 students overall, and about 10% of those are graduate students, 5 to 10%. Then lastly, in 2024, we officially opened Markham, which is a campus just north of the city, currently offering 5 graduate credentials and growing by the year. Overall at York, though, across faculties and campuses, there's just over 80 graduate programs total, over 100 degrees and diplomas available within those programs, and just over 6,000 graduate students and postdoctoral fellows. So for why someone might want to pursue grad studies, basically we've drilled it down to 3 main reasons. So professional growth, personal development, and academic excellence. So in terms of professional growth, a graduate degree opens doors to higher employment rates, higher salaries, developing in-demand skills. For personal development, about learning, growing, developing as a person, and creating those lifelong connections. And then for academic excellence, contributing to advancing knowledge, creating knowledge, and collaborating with the best and brightest in your academic field. So the basics and eligibility for each degree level, and again, I apologize if I'm telling you something you already know, but we just want to make sure everyone is on the same page with in terms of requirements. So, excuse me, master's degrees are the first degree level of graduate study. So you can pursue it after you finish your Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor of Science, Bachelor of Commerce, et cetera, et cetera. Usually a master's is 1 to 2 years, and traditionally a master's comes in one of 3 formats: coursework only, major research paper, or major research project, or thesis-based. So for a coursework only program, You enter the program and you do a set number of courses, usually between 8 to 10. And once you complete those, that's it. You're done. You can graduate. For a major research paper-based program, you're still taking courses, usually six, and then you're doing a research paper in addition to that course load. Excuse me. And then thesis-based, you're doing approximately four graduate level courses, and then you're doing a large research project in addition to that. So for the Faculty of Education, since there's only one master's, it is the Master of Education, all three formats are available. So it is a choose your own adventure. Which do you prefer? Do you like courses more? Do you like research more? The only note I will make is that if you are interested in going on to PhD or doctoral studies, I would recommend doing a thesis because the best preparation for a PhD dissertation is research done at the master's level. To be eligible to do the master's in the Faculty of Education at York, you usually need to have a honors undergraduate degree. um, that is at York, it's the 120 credit degree. Generally, it's known as the honor, or sorry, the 4-year degree. It doesn't matter if you took 4 years to earn it. You could take 6, 10, doesn't matter. But it's that honors designation, certain amount of credits, certain amount of courses at the 400 or 4,000 level that denote it as honors. If you studied outside of Canada, we have our international equivalency chart that's been shared in the chat. And my goodness, excuse me. And if you went to school outside of Canada, it will tell you this is what the equivalent of an honors degree is in this country, or what we consider it to be is equal to our Canadian degree. In your degree, we look at your grades from the last 2 full-time years or equivalent of study. So for the 120 credit degree at York, we would look at your last 60 credits. Sometimes people have completed a Bachelor of Education and are interested in pursuing the Master's of Education. We consider the Bachelor of Education credits to be equal to the BA, BCom, whatever your honors undergrad was. So it would usually be a mixture of the BEd and BA courses that we're using to grade for your admissions GPA. We look for a B plus or above, which on various grading scales is a 77 out of 100, 3.3 out of 4, 7 out of 9, second class, upper division, 4 out of 5, 15 to 16 out of 20. If we didn't cover your grading scale, we can certainly do so. Just pop it in the Q&A and we can answer. But two things are true. Number one, there's always more applications than there are spots in the program. So keep in mind, admission is not guaranteed. And also, the Master of Education is a program that does consider quite a few unique applications. So if someone had a 3-year degree, but a ton of experience, they could be admissible. If someone had a 4-year degree, but a lower GPA, but years of work experience, that they could also be admissible as well. So it's definitely a program that gets a lot of people who have been out of school for a number of years. So if you're thinking, oh, I don't meet that B plus, there may be a way to have the professional equivalent of that. So we could certainly chat about that situation after. After you finish a master's, you can, if you wish, move on and do a PhD or doctoral degree. It's an advanced research degree, the highest available one granted by the university. PhDs usually 4 or 5 years, could take 6 years or longer, depends on the research that you're interested in. The format is that you enter the program, you do courses in your first, maybe second year, you write a qualifying or a comprehensive exam, and then it's years and years of research. So truly the amount of time it takes for degree completion is the amount of time it takes for your research project to be completed. To be eligible to do the PhD in education, you do need a master's, and we look at your master's grades, and then it needs to be a B plus or above. There is a lesser known third credential, but the Faculty of Education does have a bunch, and it's a graduate diploma. So a grad diploma is essentially a handful of courses in a given area that we either don't offer a full degree in, or we do, but there was demand for a shorter credential. Oftentimes it's like get in, do the coursework, get out, and get into the workforce. Or it is you're doing a degree in something and it kind of supplements um, your main coursework and research with a specialization in a different or related subject area. But there's two kinds of diplomas, standalone and concurrent. Now, all of the graduate diplomas in the Faculty of Education are both. All of the diplomas, and we'll go over them on the next slide. You could do any of them standalone, so by themselves, but only if they're part-time. Uh, Many people will do the Master of Education with a concurrent diploma, so you're adding a couple courses on to your degree requirements, essentially. If you are wanting to do the Masters of Education with an additional concurrent diploma, then definitely apply to the degree. If you're accepted, you can add the diploma on once you're accepted. Standalone, you would apply directly to the program, and the entrance requirements are the same as if you were applying to the Masters. So it's not as an upgrading tool, it's just something that's a little bit different to um, a Master's. A little bit like fewer requirements, course-wise, not admission-wise. So speaking of, these are all the Faculty of Education programs. So the main degree program, Master of Education, and the PhD. And then here are all the grad diplomas that are offered. So again, you can do them on their own part-time if you wish, or many people choose to add these to a Master's of Education. It's also, you could be doing a degree in a different area, like say environmental studies, and choose to do a diploma in the environmental and sustainability education. So people from across the university will oftentimes have the option to add this to their current studies. But yes, we'll transition into finances. So we'll talk about, we'll do basically tables of tuition and funding. First, I'll explain what a funding package is. But even before that, I want to say that any funding opportunities are for full-time studies. Lots of people choose to take the Master of Education part-time. So just confirming there is no funding for part-time students. It's only for full-time. But a funding package for full-time students is money given to you by the university to help cover the cost of your graduate program. Funding usually fully covers tuition, if not more, and covers health insurance costs. And if you are a full-time student in an eligible program, which both the Master of Education and PhD are, you are automatically considered for a funding package. So nothing extra you need to do. When you are applying, we assume you are applying for a funded spot. If you receive funding, the details are in your offer letter. So it would be congratulations, you've got a spot in this program. Here's how much money you would receive if you choose to come study with us. Funding is not available for graduate diplomas, period. But then again, all the diplomas in this faculty are part-time anyway, which there's no funding for part-time, there's no funding for graduate diplomas. Stands to reason there's no funding for part-time diplomas either. However, we'll do domestic first and then international. So for either the Master of Education or PhD, tuition is $5,205 per year. Now, grad school goes year-round, so fall, winter, and summer. So per term, you're looking at $1,735. The standard funding package for the Master of Education is $10,000. This is not money you have to apply for. You don't have to pay it back. It's not based on financial need, and you do not have to work for it. It is just money you get. At the PhD level, tuition is the same as the master's. For full-time domestic students, 5,200 or the 1,735 per term. But the standard funding package is just under 27,000 a year. That is made up of grants and a guaranteed job as a teaching assistant. So you don't have to apply for it, you don't have to pay it back. It's not based on financial need, but you do need to work for it. So part-time tuition. If you are studying part-time, and that would be for either the degree or the diplomas, the standalone diplomas, at the undergraduate level at York, you pay for your courses one by one. So you take 3 credits, you pay this amount. You take 6 credits, you pay this amount. At the grad level, there isn't that you don't pay by course. There's only two distinctions, full-time or part-time. So part-time tuition is exactly half of what full-time tuition is, and it's 2,600 a year or $870 per term if you're a part-time student. They will also allow you to do a payment plan by month, so it's about 210, 215 between there per month. Then international, so the standard master's tuition for international students is just under 20,000 per year, or 6,600 per term. And the standard funding package is just over 19,000. So it covers most of your tuition, and that's fully made up of grants. For the PhD, tuition is just under 19,000 per year or 6,300 per term. And the standard funding package is just over 39,000. So it is made up of grants and a guaranteed job as a teaching assistant. PhD funding is available for 5 full years. You may finish before you even need that the whole time, but it's available if you need it. It is possible to get an international unfunded offer, potentially, but they know that international students are applying for funded spots, and then if they wanted to extend any other offers that don't have funding attached, they are able to do that for international as well. Technically, it's the same for part-time tuition, where it's exactly half of full-time, but it's extremely unusual for there to be any part-time international students just due to visa and study permit conditions. So we hardly ever see that. But let's say you apply for or let's say you get a funding package. Great. Let's say you don't get a funding package. That's fine too, because scholarships are separate. So you can apply to these opportunities. That's the difference, the main difference between scholarships and funding. Funding you don't need to apply for, scholarships you do. Most of these scholarships are based on grades or research projects. And there's 3 kinds: current students, government awards, and external awards. So current student awards are ones you can apply for once you are a student. So usually, well, for these programs, it's September. They range between $500 and $5,000. Most are for full-time, but there are some that may be available to part-time students as well. Government awards, either federal or provincial level, these can be quite large. So $10,000, $20,000, $40,000. They require a comprehensive application. They are prestigious. They are competitive. And the deadlines are very early. For PhD, a lot of the deadlines, they were October 1st. For masters, a lot of the deadlines are December 1st. So coming up very, very quickly. They are not just entrance awards, though. You can apply in your first year for your second year a lot of the time. And then lastly, other external scholarships are not adjudicated by the university or government agencies. It's by the individual corporation, foundation, agency, whichever. But they can also be quite large, tens of thousands of dollars. The timeline for all of these is different. We'll put the awards link in the chat so you can have a look and see what do I qualify for, what do I have capacity to apply for. Completely up to you, but that's an individual responsibility. Then lastly, York Financial Assistance is needs-based. So if you demonstrate financial need, usually bursaries, it's no more than $1,000 per student per year. And you can apply once you are a student. Also, if you are a domestic student who is a resident of Ontario and you are pursuing a degree, you can apply for OSAP. So the government considers you apply directly on their website, the OSAP website, for grants and loans, full or part-time. Either one is eligible. It's just only for degree students. Diploma studies are not eligible for OSAP. So, for applying, we'll share the link in the chat. Some of you were at yesterday's Apply Together session, I think. So, we walked through the application together. Had someone email today to say it made the process a lot more clear. So, hopefully, it was helpful. Some of you may have already applied as well. So, the application is on the York website, it's not through a third party, and it's in two parts. So the first part is you fill out the online form, you make your payment, and then you have to wait 2 to 3 business days before you get a confirmation email saying, um, here's directions basically on how to complete your application by submitting documents. So you don't submit anything other than information and payment in part one, documents come in part two. So we'll go over each of the degrees. And so deadline, what you're supposed to submit. Um, Keep in mind that for the diplomas part-time, entry requirements are the same as they are for a master's. So for the Master's of Education, some programs do a difference between domestic international. They do a difference between full-time and part-time because there are so many people pursuing this program part-time. This is one of the only programs at the university that it is possible to do while working a 9 to 5 job because they have online courses, because they have night courses. So full-time deadline is January 15th, part-time is February 15th, and applications for September 2026 are currently open right now. The program only offers a September start every year. So keep that in mind. For what will be required, it's very similar to the PhD. So I'm going to go into a lot of detail on this slide. Um, Most people are always here for the master's anyway, not particularly the PhD. But if you're here for the PhD, please put it in the chat and I'll spend a lot more time on PhD. Just let us know. But first up is we need to see transcripts from every university that you have ever studied at. Doesn't matter if you did an exchange, letter of permission, if you were a transfer student, if you studied 50 years ago, if you don't feel that your studies were connected to this one, either way. An unofficial copy is usually fine, and it's only if you're accepted that we require official documents. So we don't need transcripts from colleges, it's only university studies. I see that someone's here for the PhD. Okay, no problem. For references, we require 3. Now, we don't accept pre-written references. So we ask for the name and email address of your referees, and then we email them a form to fill out about you. So referees are usually a mixture of academic and professional. So academic being someone who's taught you or supervised your research. Professional, someone who's supervised or managed you at a work or volunteer position. Education ideally would like to see at least one academic reference, but if you've been in the workforce for, 10, 15, 20 years, number one, you may not have contact with former professors, and at a certain point, they're not speaking about your current skill set anyway. So yes, a lot of people are submitting 3 professional out of necessity. Program wants to see a statement of interest. We'll share in the chat in a little bit. We have a video on our YouTube channel about how to write a statement of interest. Basically, it's a 1 to 2 page double-spaced document, no more than 1,000 words about why you're wanting to pursue the program, the research or coursework you're interested in pursuing, what you're going to do after you graduate, so on and so on. Resume or CV, which very straightforward, very similar to applying for a job. Just a document that showcases your work, education, volunteer, and research experience. Sample of written work. So usually for applicants, this is a paper that you wrote in a third or fourth year seminar. And it's it's a way for the committee to see your research and writing skills. However, you can see the asterisk there. That's because, and they're the only program at York that does this, they are fully aware that there's lots of people applying who do not have a recent sample of academic work from being out of academia for so long. They will accept a extended statement of interest in lieu of a sample of written work. So you can write up to 1,500 words and not have to submit a sample of written work. There's no penalty, there's no preference either way. It's completely up to you and what you feel would represent your skills best. Then there's a standard supplementary information form. It's one page, it's online, very basic questions. And then if you went to school outside of Canada, you may need to submit a language proficiency test like IELTS, TOEFL, Duolingo, that kind of thing. So your application is only complete once all of your documents are submitted, and we highly recommend applying the earlier the better, especially if you're an international student, just to make sure there's no issues with your documentation. You don't need to resubmit anything. Um, yeah. Then for the PhD, the deadline is much earlier, so it's December 1st. So it's about 6 weeks left before the deadline. And it's very, very similar requirement list to the master's. We need to see transcripts from all university studies. And same thing, it doesn't matter if you only took one course at another institution. We need to see a separate individual transcript from that school. Unofficial is fine. Usually only official is only required when you're accepted and have accepted your offer, etc. Name and email address of 3 referees. Now, at the PhD level, usually you're submitting academic references. Could be a professional in there if you need it to, but yeah, mostly academic. Your statement of interest would usually include, or would need to include, sorry, a discussion of the research you intend to do. At the master's level, you could do um, at the master's level, you could do coursework only, major research paper, or thesis. So maybe in your statement, you're not discussing research because you're not actually doing research. But for the PhD, everyone's doing a dissertation. So you would need to discuss that in that statement. CV. Now they say academic CV instead of resume. If you end up submitting a resume, it's not the end of the world, but they have stated their preference. So there you go. They also want to see 2 samples of written work. And again, this is used for the committee to ascertain your your writing and research skills. So putting forward work that showcases those best. It would usually be master seminar papers that you're using. Then very standard supplementary information form, and then English language test if applicable. As a reminder too, we don't waive based on citizenship. We don't waive based on work experience. It's only if you attended an English only school that you would be eligible for a waiver. Sometimes in some years, they will interview their PhD applicants to make a determination on final decisions. That may or may not happen in any given year. Um, it can be done on Zoom as well, so it's not something you have to be physically present in Toronto for. So definitely a great use of ability of technology as well. But yeah, since there's only those 2 degrees and all the diplomas follow the degree requirements, that's the end of the slide deck, really. We'll just do a small plug here for the Faculty of Graduate Studies social channels, Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube, and LinkedIn. That last link there, the YouTube one, that is where you can find the statement of interest video. Um, we don't want to give you an exact link because the current video is from February. We're going to be replacing it with the October one, but not for the next 4 to 6 weeks. So use what's on there right now. You just search how to write a statement of interest on the channel and it'll come right up. But it will change in a couple weeks. So Last but not least, we will put up the graduate admissions email. If you have any questions whatsoever, you can contact us by email at any point. We do sessions year round, drop-in sessions, information sessions, in-person events. So we're happy to answer any questions you have, provide referrals to other programs or services at York. But now we'll head into the Q&A.